Well, welcome everyone to session 13 of the inaugural Spiritual Beings Virtual Summit. It has been so much fun and it's been so great till now, and we're going to finish it off strong. So I'm really excited for this session because I get to be with two amazing friends of mine and part of our SB team here, all things tech. And I have Jim and Paul with me today, and we are going to go through, they are going to go through all of the basics and technicals of everything you would need to know about how to mint, how to set up a wallet, all of those steps and things that can seem rather daunting and can seem a bit tricky when you're first coming into this space. And it's always good to just get a refresher and everything as well, just to make sure we're all up with the latest processes and just things that are happening. So as part of our core values and really the heart of the community that we're creating here at Spiritual Beings is that we want education to be part of that, in that we want to empower people to always feel like you are well equipped, well able to be in this space, to be safe in this space, and to be doing it well, and to be taking advantages of all the opportunities that are there. So as I said, I'm so excited to have Jim and Paul with us today. Guys, would you be able to introduce yourselves to everyone and just let them know a little bit about your story so far and what your role is with Spiritual Beings?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Great.
I'm Jim D with Generative NFTs. We're a Web3 agency basically, and we work with a lot of NFT drop clients. We have been doing that for more than a year now, but gosh, it's been a long time. In the NFT space, they say one day is 1 week and 1 week is so it's been. It feels like forever, but basically, I got into NFTs early in 2021. I became obsessed with them, absolutely obsessed, like losing sleep over it, and spent the first half of the year just figuring them out, and then after that, we just got into launching sets. I got into it through generative coding. That was my introduction. I just got obsessed with cat pictures. I made 10,000 of these cats, and I just was trying to figure out how that process worked, and then from there, segued into smart contracts and distributed applications and so forth. So yeah, that's how I got into it, and I quit my whole other career, just went straight into it for the last year. So it's been quite exciting, and it still is.
Amazing. And Jim and Generative NFTs are developers who have worked on the smart contract for Spiritual Beings. And just being incredible team members and just part of this whole process, which is just the added cherry on the top. It's just been amazing. And Paul, I'd love you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Paul Rennick, Director of Tech at Spiritual Beings, and I got to say it's been wonderful working with Jody and the team, and Jim as well. And I got into Web3 several years ago. Actually, I started. My friend was a big person in finance, and he was showing me Bitcoin before it was really anything, and I was. It's like, I don't really understand what this Bitcoin thing is, but it's kind of a cool project, and I got some Bitcoin, played around with it, kind of dumped it, didn't really think anything about it. And then, then I realized as things grew and grew and its value increased, it was getting really exciting. And so then eventually I just thought, you know what, I need to be in this space. So I started moving over and, learning, what are these smart contracts? And then eventually I started creating my own and writing code for them, and also integrating with a lot of the coding I've been doing since I was younger. I kind of self-taught coder that started, in middle school. So it's been really fun to apply all of that knowledge to these exciting, endeavors that are going on in the Web3 space, and how it's really transforming how we interact with each other and in the world today. So really excited.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. What an incredible just season of the world we're in, and just that we get to dive in. I love how you both really just knew that this was something that resonated both with you and something that you were able to really take a hold of. So as we get started, even just before we set up the wallet, can you explain what the blockchain is and why we are using the Ethereum blockchain?
Yeah. Do you want to? I don't know if you want to. I don't know if we jump in or what. Paul, why don't you talk about blockchain for a minute, and then I'll talk about Ethereum if you want.
Sure. Yeah. So blockchains in general are really just a long ledger. They're permanent, essentially. The way that these are set up, we don't need to go into maybe the details of that, but they're basically a permanent ledger, and every transaction that takes place gets recorded onto this infinitely expanding ledger. So everything is recorded. You can always go back and see it. You can't delete anything off of it. And then I guess that leads into smart contracts too. Just briefly, we could say that this is a way that we can program transactions to occur on the blockchain without requiring the trust of both parties, because the code is what, like if it's transferring money to someone else, the code can handle that. And you don't have to trust that someone will pay you because the contract is permanently on this blockchain. And it really takes that trust out of the equation, which makes it really exciting. That's just one of the very few uses of blockchain technology, is that, it's really not something people can hack into and change. It's really wonderful in that sense.
Absolutely. And it's exciting as a developer too, because when you launch that code, now you can't change it, right? and so that's why we have to test, of course, so much. But it's scary. I mean, I came on board years ago as I used to work in publishing, so I'm used to that. So I find myself able to handle that kind of pressure okay. But I know that it's a lot of pressure for a developer to deploy, because especially on a final smart contract, because you can't go back and change it without a lot of hassle. You have to deploy another one or something. But back in publishing, you'd send something to press and you hope there's no errors. You edited it many times. It's like testing. So and then adding to that, we'll talk about so NFTs you can think of as digital assets. So as Paul said, you have this ledger of information. So you're saying you're just putting a block here saying this. I shouldn't say the term block, but you're putting a token out there, and you're saying this token is the official digital asset for this skeleton, for example. And in our case, we have 11,111 unique tokens, and they all have unique visual representations of all these traits and so forth. So there's a whole complicated side of the NFT stuff too. But basically each one of those tokens is an individual unique token in this case, and we call those NFTs. And so because they're on the blockchain connected to the smart contract, we can say that each one is a particular digital asset, and that we can prove the ownership of it by it's connected to whoever wallet owns it. And this is this whole ecosystem of NFTs was actually invented, this whole idea, by some developers who wanted to help artists, by creating digital collectibles, and so the whole thing goes back to being able to give royalties to artists and things like that. It's really, really super fascinating. So, but we had asked the question before of why Ethereum. So yes, there are many blockchains. There's Bitcoin is a blockchain, and Ethereum, and Solana, and there's Cardano. There's all kinds of different blockchains. But here's where we get into a little bit of opinion and a little bit of hopefully semi-objective opinion, if you want to call it that, if that's even a word. But basically, Ethereum, in my opinion, and in many of people's opinion, is the main one where you're going to find NFTs. It's where the most famous, as of now, NFTs reside, such as the Bored Ape Yacht Club, for example. That's where it all started. That's the main. I mean, there were NFTs before the Bored Ape Yacht Club, such as the infamous, not infamous, but famous example of Beeple, that artist who sold his digital collection for $69 million in March of 2021. That's specifically the event that got me hooked into NFTs, because I couldn't believe it. That's what got me into it. I was just losing sleep trying to figure out what these things were. How did somebody sell a digital file to somebody for $69 million? It completely blew my mind. But, and then the main drops, NFT drops, they were happening on Ethereum. And so, yes, we have these other chains with other really great sets out there, not to disparage any other chains but I think it's reasonable to argue that Ethereum is the main street of the NFT space. There's a lot of other great ones, but Ethereum's kind of where where you want to be, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, I think also you can say that while Bitcoin has been the dominant blockchain, it's not programmable in the way that Ethereum is. And that's what was so revolutionary about Ethereum, is that you could all of a sudden create these smart contracts that, again, can handle these contracts between two parties, these agreements in any way that you see fit. And again, it takes trust out of the equation, because you no longer have to be like, oh, is this guy going to pay me, or is this transaction going to go through? It will, because those terms are now set and they're on the blockchain and they're permanent. So while Bitcoin, because it's not programmable, that's why we consider it that asset where it's sort of like digital gold in a way. It's a storage of value, rather than Ethereum. While it does also have value, it's the number 2 blockchain, I believe, still in existence. And so there's just so much utility there. And that's, again, why I think we're using Ethereum for this project, because it really is the most popular, the most widespread. There's the most contracts on it. So
that's, a lot of developers and a lot of crypto investors, they talk about a flippening. They think that eventually Ethereum will flip Bitcoin in terms of functionality and desirability, simply for that reason that you just said.
Yeah.
I mean, that's speculation, of course, but I as a developer, it seems very super practical because of all that.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I would love us now to go into how to actually set up a wallet to be able to purchase one of these NFTs, as you said, because it's not as simple as just getting your credit card information out or handing over some cash. There is a very specific way, and it's not in an Apple Wallet yet. I'm sure it will be, but at this stage, it is a few more steps to that. So thank you for giving that really great basis. And now I'd love you both to jump in and show us how to set up a wallet.
Okay, so there's lots of wallets out there. I think the most popular one on Ethereum or EVM chains in general is MetaMask. And so we can talk about how to set one of those up. And I have the website pulled up. Can I present here? Let's see. And sorry, it's doing a little permission thing for me. Let me just see if this will work. Well, shoot, it's not letting me do it. 1 second, so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. The
Sure.
logistics sometimes.
Sorry.
No.
While Paul's doing that, I would just mention to anybody that when you're following these instructions, I think the number one most important thing is depending on you could have Windows, you could have Apple, I don't know what platform you're on, but if you're starting on a desktop, make sure you go to MetaMask, metamask.io. Because sometimes if you search for MetaMask, there might be some spam site that comes up ahead of them in the search results or from time to time and things like that. But the most important thing is to make sure. Oh, did Paul leave? I think hopefully he'll be back. I think the number one thing is to make sure you're getting it from the authentic source of MetaMask. And so if you're on a desktop and you type metamask.io, that will be the definitive source. And it will usually know what browser you're using. So if you're using Edge or Chrome or Brave or Firefox, it will usually know. And the other one is, if you're getting it from on their phone from the Play Store or whatever the Apple. Sorry, I'm a PC guy, but you may want to make sure you're getting the official one. So usually, if you're on a phone, it will be the one with 10 million downloads or something like that. So here comes Paul. There you go.
So, yeah, I think it accidentally closed my browser when I clicked on it. So let's try it now.
That's a really great point, Jim. Absolutely.
Okay, so it looks like we're able to see the screen here. So I think I did hear Jim saying this is the website here, metamask.io, and it just adds a little extension in your browser here. So you can click download, and it's going to tell you which one you want to download it for. So we're on Chrome here, so we'll just hit install. And then all you have to do is click add to Chrome. So we'll click that. And then we're going to say add extension here, just letting you know what it can do with your browser. Okay, so now you can see it says welcome to MetaMask, and we're going to say get started. And here you can choose to agree or not agree. You can click the one that you decide on. And here is where things are actually starting to get set up. So we have, if you already have your own secret recovery phrase, you can actually import it so that you can use it on this browser. But for today, we're going to talk about setting up a new one. So we're going to say, it says, yes, let's get set up. We're going to create a new wallet and secret recovery phrase. So we're going to click create a wallet. And here, you're going to want to create a password. And this is so that you can unlock your wallet just on your computer. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And we're going to hit agree to the terms and create. Okay, so this has a wonderful video. We're not going to necessarily go through that there, but you should definitely look into that when you're doing this yourself if you're new. Okay, so now, because we're on a call here, obviously I'm never going to, you would never want to show this to anybody else, never share this with anybody else.
Yeah.
This secret recovery phrase is not just one account, but all of your accounts. So do not ever, ever share this with anyone else. I can't stress that enough, because if anyone ever got a hold of this, they're going to have access to all of your wallets. You can have actually multiple within this one recovery phrase. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is put this in a safe place. If you've got some secure password manager system you're using, what I do too is I actually physically wrote this on a piece of paper and put it in my lockbox, things like that, safety deposit box. It's that important, especially because if you're dealing with real money, it's very easy to, again, if someone gets a hold of this phrase, they will take everything you have. So don't let that happen. Don't share it. Okay, that being said, we're going to go ahead and hit next. All right, so, and let's see. Oh, I forgot, you can't even copy and paste it. So I actually should have written that down. I don't know if it's going to let me go back. Might have to get a new one. Okay, so here we go. So actually you need to take a screenshot of this just so I have it. And again, I wouldn't even do that, to be honest.
Right.
But I'm going to do that just for these purposes. Okay, so I've got it on a different screen here. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And then we're going to just type that in. So we're going to select mountain, apart, flip, figure, rival, remind. Now this might sound really cheesy, that you're putting in these words, but really what it is a way to come up with a way to derive your actual wallet addresses that are distinct enough that no one should ever have a repeat. So that's what we're counting on here. So we're going to say quality, garden, audit, must. And then we'll hit confirm. Okay, so now we've passed the test. That secret phase that we have, we would have written down, we've now got it in here. And we're going to hit all done. Okay, so now we're actually in the browser here, but you can also see this on an extension. So if you just go to your extensions here, you can pin it. So if we hit pin on this little icon right here, it's going to show that always. If you don't want it to show up always, you can always hide it by unpinning it. But you can see now we are in our wallet, and we're on Ethereum mainnet. And there's other networks you can get on as well, but it starts with just Ethereum. You can see your wallet address here is truncated, so you can't actually see all of it, but you can copy it to clipboard. So if I do that, I can see it here if I type it in. So that's my full address, and nobody else will be having this address. And so if we look at our mask again, now that password that we originally entered ourselves, not the seed phrase, but the password, that is to just physically unlock it on this browser only. So if you let this sit for a while, it's gonna go back to requiring a password for you to even see this information. And right now, we don't have any ETH. We don't have any money in this wallet because it's brand new. And you can see here, if we wanted more information, we can see there's no activity. If we go to activity, there's no transactions. Again, brand new wallet. But you can see all this information at a glance in this application. Now, Another thing you can do is rename your wallet. So you can go in here, you can say account details, you can click this little right button, and you can say, main or whatever you want. You can name these things according to, your preferences. So you can also click on this little graphic icon here, and then you can say create account, or you can import another account using a private key. So if we go to create account, I'm going to click plus create account. We'll just call it account 2 for now, and we'll hit create. So now you can see it's account 2. It's a different address than we had before. So we actually have 2 different wallets here, but the key is that these are tied to the same seed phrase. And we can create wallet after wallet after wallet after wallet after wallet, and all of these accounts are part of the same seed phrase. And that's why I was stressing in the beginning that if someone has your seed phrase, they have access to all of these accounts. Now, you'll notice if you want to import an account, you can see here, it's got to be a private key. And that's because you can't have 2 different seed phrase representations in one MetaMask wallet. So you've got your seed phrase can generate all of those, but let's say you have a different one that was created on a different seed phrase, or you just created one that only has a private key. You can import it here, and you can then click import, and it'll bring it in. And you can do all the same things, and that won't be a part of that seed phrase. If you want to export your private key for a specific account, let's see. I think that's what, account details. Yes. So you can see your full address here. You can view it on Etherscan, which is a website that keeps track of transactions, and you can see all the data. But if you want to export private key, it's going to ask me for my password. Now, again, just like if someone has your seed phrase, they have access to all of your accounts. You also never want to share your private key. So I'm going to just put in my password here. We're going to confirm. And you see, this is the private key here. Now, again, I'm never going to use this wallet, obviously, because it's public now. So don't ever do that if you show it to somebody.
Never. And Paul, let me add, especially if something goes wrong with your wallet, and I've seen a number of people fall victim to this. People online, like if you go on Discord, saying, "Oh, I screwed up my MetaMask. How do I get in?" There's a big scam where people will say they'll run you through this and get you to show that private key, like on a share screen kind of thing.
Right.
And they'll, as soon as all they have to do is screenshot that, and they're in. They got your wallet. So
Exactly.
never share it in any way, not even when you're video conferencing or video chatting. Just absolute privacy in terms of this key and those seed phrases that he mentioned. Just 100%. Never. Even if somebody swears to you.
Yes. Don't ever share this. The other thing that is important to know. So remember, the seed phrase is for all of the accounts. This private key is only for this specific account. So that's the one difference. The seed phrase, they get everything. The private key, they only get that specific account. So keep that in mind. But again, don't share any of them. So we, again, if we wanted to copy this and import it into something else or use it in a different way, you can do that. As a developer, we do create lots of accounts and we test from, but we never put real money in there because, again, if someone has access to a seed phrase or a private key, they can take all the funds immediately, like without hesitation. So, and I think one more thing to talk about these wallets, whenever you're on a certain website, it's going to ask you to connect your wallet. And so you can pick MetaMask, and it's going to ask you for permission. And you can see right here, we're on MetaMask itself. But if we went to one of these, it's going to say not connected. And it's going to ask you to connect, like OpenSea. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It's going to ask you to connect your wallet, give it permission to connect to that website. When you do that, you're giving, you want to make sure you trust the website because you're actually giving them access to your wallet and the information about your accounts. And in certain cases, if you connect to something malicious and you give it permission and you sign a transaction without realizing it, that also can be a place where they can take all the funds out of your wallet. So I recommend that if you're ever going to, connect to a wallet that you're not, or a website that you are not sure about, don't ever connect with an account that has money in it or NFTs in it or anything like that to start, because you do not want your wallets to get drained. All right.
Right. So you'll have, and we were going to, I don't want to skip ahead in I read, get some questions, some bullet points for what we're going to talk about. But as Paul was saying, you would have probably a main account, like maybe your first account, for example, that you start, just like right when Paul first started that, and you want to call that, that's going to be your NFT account. And I know, Jody, the next question is how do you get some ETH? So I'll kind of merge this in a little bit.
Absolutely, we need to get some money in there.
I know.
To go shopping.
So you notice on that one on Paul's screen, there's a functionality where you can buy ETH using the MetaMask. That's one way. You can click that button. I don't know if I've actually done that, but I believe you can use a credit card or a bank account. I'm not exactly sure what the options are on that one. Commonly, a way to get money into MetaMask, you may have a crypto account started somewhere else already, such as Coinbase or Binance or one of those large exchanges where you just more or less are using it to buy crypto. Personally, that's the way I almost always do it. I have a Coinbase account, for example, and I'll buy some ETH there because that is hooked up to your bank account. It's super protected. It's a little bit, an exchange is a little bit different from a wallet. But for example, you could go on Coinbase or Binance and you can fairly easily buy ETH. There'll be instructions right on the website. Here's how you can buy some ETH using your credit card or using your bank account. From there, you would go to your MetaMask extension, just like Paul said, and there's a button right when he's showing the wallet that allows you to copy your address. So that's your ETH wallet address. And then you basically go back to Coinbase or Binance or wherever you have that ETH that you bought, and you send it. And sometimes when you're new, especially when you're new and you haven't yet done a lot of transactions, you might send a little bit first. Even Vitalik Buterin, there's somebody shared on Twitter, even Vitalik sends a little bit first just to make sure, So it's kind of funny, you might send like $5 worth of ETH to that address just to see it go through and give yourself some assurance that, okay, everything works fine. Then you go ahead and send the $500 or whatever you have in ETH to your MetaMask. And once it's there, then your balance will show. It usually just takes a couple minutes. And, if you're going to get into NFTs, it's hard to say what a great budget is, but, you probably want to have half a ETH in there or something, just to start. But you don't have to. You can have whatever you decide. Maybe you only have one or two NFTs that you want to buy. But I think most people will find that it's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of communities out there that you want to kind of become part of via owning an NFT and then interacting with the people that are in those groups. And so it's kind of fun, and you'll find yourself, once you buy one or two, you'll probably wind up getting a number of them. And this is a great time too. There's a lot of great bargains out there and a lot of great drops coming up. And so it's a fun time to do that. So you have your ETH, and I forgot what the next question is. Because I know you want to keep it in order. What was that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the wallet now.
Yes.
We've put some ETH in there. Now people are talking about gas. What does this mean? And we have to fill up with gas, or what happens here?
I don't know.
What does that look like?
So nowadays Ethereum has changed recently too. They used to have miners. You've probably heard of people mining Bitcoin and mining Ethereum. These are people who helped do the math that was required in order to make transactions complete. Now we have a system called proof of stake, which is a little bit different. It just means that there's things called validators, and these are people that have a whole bunch of Ethereum, and they have it's called staking, which I know, Jody, we're going to kind of get into that here. Paul's written some code around that. But basically, it just means you need to pay the people who get the transactions, make it all official, and validate these transactions. So everybody's got to get, everybody gets paid for their help. But the gas is a small fee to facilitate that transaction, and it's usually pretty cheap. If you're sending Ethereum from your main account to your MetaMask, it's usually like a couple of dollars in USD terms. So whatever that, it gets paid in ETH, it'll be 0.00 something. It's pretty inexpensive. The only time you see gas go super high is if everybody's trying to buy the exact same thing at the same time. If you had, if Yuga Lab dropped a collection of 100 of something, it would be, $10,000 in gas to buy, because everybody's going to be competing for that. But for most NFTs, it's just a few dollars. And for a really well-organized, gas-optimized NFT, it could be even cheaper, especially for bulk purchases, which we can talk about that after a while. But it's just a small fee. So you expect to pay, if an NFT is $100 USD, or let's say it's I don't know what that would be, 0.05 or 0.06 or whatever. or 0.08, for example, you would expect to pay like 0.08 something, or maybe 0.09, depending on whatever the gas level was. So it's the price of the NFT plus the gas is your total cost. And I think we'll talk about minting in a bit, so we'll kind of go over that process a little at that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to go into the actual minting process, but I'd love just very quickly. I know that within our smart contract, we've been mindful. You've been very mindful of the gas and to minimize that as much as possible, because as you said, there are times where it can get crazy.
Right.
So are you able to just share?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one since I'm involved in that side a little bit more. The we have the Azuki team to thank for that. This is the team that came out with the standard NFT contract is known as most of them of these kind of NFTs that we're talking about that we use like Spiritual Beings or Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's what's called an ERC 721. That was the standard. But now the Azuki team came out with one called the ERC 721A, which stood for Azuki. And it basically allowed you to buy multiple NFTs for just not multiple gas price. Instead of if you buy 5, it used to be you'd pay 5 times the gas. Now it's like 1 point something. It's very, very minimal. And so if you buy 10 or 100 even, the gas cost is just negligible. It's really like, it's not even 2 times. It's like 1 point sometime.
Yeah, they're very comparable, which is wonderful.
It's super. So it's very optimized. It's that type of contract was our core that we started with, and I did a free mint once where for these dogs, and I minted like a 100 or 200 myself, and the gas was only a few dollars. I mean, it was really You can put a lot of stuff onto the blockchain with this for very, very low cost.
Right.
Amazing. Okay, so we've got a wallet, it's all set up, we've got our gas handled. The minting process itself, can we talk through that? What does that look like? What do you do? Where do we even start with that?
Okay. I'll jump in once. Okay, on that one. So the minting process will be very, very easy for this. There's a couple different ways, but the main way that most people will do it is by going to the Spiritual Beings website, and there will be a link there to go to the minting page. So ultimately it'll wind up at a what we call a subdomain. Most people know what that is. It will say like mint.spiritualbeings.io. So technically it's a separate website from Spiritual Beings, but it's basically the same domain name. And it's called a subdomain. And there we have a standalone minting application specifically for Spiritual Beings. So you'll notice the same domain name, although it'll say mint.spiritualbeings, and the same basic design and everything. And the links will all come from the Twitter account for Spiritual Beings and the website for Spiritual Beings. So that's another point before I really start. So I want to make sure any NFT, not just Spiritual Beings, but any of them, you want to be making sure that you're following the actual official links from whatever you're buying, no matter what NFT drop it is. So in this case, you want to watch out for links that come from the official channels, social channels, or groups like Discord of Spiritual Beings, but it will be mint.spiritualbeings.io. Anyway, so you'll follow those links, and that's the minting application. So like Paul said, it'll ask, do you want to connect to the site? You'll say, yes, I do. And in this case, you would use the wallet that you've set up to purchase NFTs, assuming you have a new wallet. And there will be a connect wallet button, and once you're connected, it'll say, great, how many do you want to buy? And you have a little dial. You can say, I'll buy 1 or 2 or whatever you like. I believe we're going to have a 10 per transaction limit, though. So if you want to buy more than that, you'll have to do another transaction on this contract. But and it will calculate the total for you, and you'll click mint, and it'll say, here, this would be your total. Is that cool? And it'll say this plus gas, and it'll give you a little confirm button on MetaMask. And if you agree with what it says, then you click confirm, and then it'll start to send that out to the blockchain. So usually it'll wait a second, and it could be even a minute. It's not usually that long, but it'll send your transaction out, and it'll make the transaction. It'll write it to the blockchain, and the next thing you know, you'll get a pop-up that says, hey, your mint is complete. You can now view your NFT if you go to, for example, OpenSea and view your wallet there. So if you go to OpenSea and log in, there'll be a button for your profile, and you'll be able to go there and you'll see that your NFT is indeed there. One thing we didn't really talk about yet, but just for the information for new people who are newcomers to the NFT, when you're buying a generative NFT, especially right during the mint, you could buy one later, of course, 2 years down the road, you can still buy these. But at the beginning, you don't actually get to see what your particular NFT is, because part of the NFT, part of the generative kind of excitement is you don't know exactly which skeleton you're going to get. Are you going to get a super rare? Are you going to get a golden one? Or what background? You don't know what traits you're going to have. So when you first buy it, you're going to see just sort of a placeholder that'll say, I don't know what the placeholders look like yet.
They're fabulous.
I'm sure.
Fabulous.
I think the artist,
Yeah.
I think she sent that through what it was going to be, but I didn't get look at it yet. But you'll see that, and that's a placeholder. And what that means is you've bought the NFT, you own it, but we haven't revealed them yet. So the reveal is maybe something I didn't think to put that on our list of things to talk about. But it basically means that whenever the community decides, and that's up to Jody and the rest of the leadership team to decide when they will be revealed, they tell me or Paul to make a little change to the smart contract, which basically allows the NFT to show what you actually get. And so then at that point on OpenSea, you can go on and say, okay, there's a little button that says refresh the metadata, and you click that, and it'll go out and say, okay, no longer am I going to show the skeleton. I'm going to actually show the placeholder, but I'm going to go get the actual image that you own. And at that point, you'll get to actually see it. So when you first buy it, just keep in mind that it's not a mistake or anything. Just because you see the same, if you go to the collection, you'll see you might see 11,111 of the exact same animations. That's because they haven't been shown yet. But after that point, from whatever that point is down forward, if you go to the collection, you'll see all the different ones. So that's kind of how that works. But yeah, you simply follow the interface. Now, there's more advanced ways I won't really get into. Some people like to they don't like to go to minting websites. More people like just more advanced users or people who are particular about things. You can actually go to the smart contract on Etherscan, and you can interact with that manually in order to mint an NFT. But if anybody's watching this, they're going to want to do it the first way that we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jim, for going through that. And you've also mentioned OpenSea in that as well. So, Paul, are you able to kind of talk through what OpenSea is, that kind of marketplace, and how people can interact with OpenSea once they've already minted?
Right. Yeah. So once you're in, once you have NFTs, or if you just want to look at other NFTs, there are multiple marketplaces out there, and for different blockchains. But OpenSea does use Ethereum and I think Solana and some others. But basically, you go to the website, and just like you would on our minting page, you're also going to, again, ask to be connecting your wallet, which will then bring up your profile, and you can see all the NFTs that are in your wallet. It will show up on OpenSea on that interface. And what's great about it is it's a marketplace that allows you to buy and sell, or even you can make offers. People can bid for yours. So people can send you offers, and if you agree, you can go ahead and just click accept, and then you sign the transaction, then the money goes to you. And then the cool thing is that again, you'll be able to see all your NFTs, and if you don't, if you just want to see them on there, you can. If you decide to sell an individual one, you can just click sell. You can put how much you want to sell it for, and you can, again, just sign that transaction, put that offer onto the blockchain, and then someone else can see that offer and they can accept it and choose to buy it. And if they do, then you'll be notified and you'll get your Ethereum. So it's a very, very cool marketplace. It's the most popular one, I believe, by a large margin. But again, that's not the only way that you can sell or trade these, but it is the most popular way.
Amazing. So yes, as we've said, so it is a delayed reveal, and so there is fun in that sometimes there is the excitement of getting something that is exactly what you would have picked, and it's just amazing, and it's got lots of rarity, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Or there's something that you mint, and then you look and you think, actually, I even like this other one even better. You can go onto OpenSea, and it's almost like, yeah, at that point you can trade and swap and sell and do that as they're all being revealed, and as you're seeing more of the collection. Right. So, and people will receive offers at that point as well. So yeah, you may just be getting offers from people you don't even know to say, I want to buy yours.
Absolutely.
And
you can even start buying and selling them from OpenSea the minute they're minted. I mean, as soon as you mint it, way before, if the reveal is, let's say there was a 2 days before it was going to be revealed, or in some cases, there's some drops that have taken like a month, but I don't think Jody will be doing that. But there's some that have, and it creates a whole marketplace of speculation. People get excited about, oh, maybe I should get this one, or maybe they want a certain ID number and they'll see if that is for sale. But as soon as you mint that NFT, you can list it for sale if you want and buy a different one. And you can buy right off of OpenSea for others who've made that same decision to list it. Some people buy them from OpenSea while the minting is still going on. It's really strange, but it creates this whole dynamic market. And then the big reveal comes, of course, and then everybody sees what they have.
Absolutely. Look, I know we've already kind of touched on this throughout, but I'd love us for a moment just to sit in the whole issue of security. It obviously is. There's amazing things about being decentralized, and there's also a lot of responsibility, personal responsibility that comes into that because of that very fact. So, yeah, what are the main points, again, that we need to know about security and about just being safe with all of this?
Well, I know we talked a lot about it before, but I think it does warrant reiterating is that be very careful again with your seed phrases, with your private keys. Don't ever share them with anyone. And aside from that, the next thing we talked about was be very careful about connecting your wallet to sites, because if you connect it to the wrong site or you accidentally click to approve a transaction that you didn't know what it was going to do, if that was a malicious site, they can take your funds instantly. They can take everything. So don't allow that to happen. One of the ways you can do that is, I know we touched briefly on hot and cold wallets. I think it was in another session as well. There's a way to do wallets that aren't necessarily connected to, to the internet, which is one way you can have a hardware wallet. But the other thing that you can do is, again, just if you're going to connect to a site, it's a good thing to do it on a different account. So when I showed you how to set up multiple accounts, try it with a different account that doesn't have any real funds in it, or it doesn't have your NFTs in it. If you're concerned at all about it, or even just to be extra cautious, I would say always connect first with something that you don't have any assets in. That way, that nothing can be taken from you. Yeah. And then if you want, let's say you only want to trade one specific NFT and you have a whole bunch in your collection, you could just trade that one NFT into a wallet by itself, into a new account. And then if you connect it and for some reason it was stolen from you, then you don't lose everything else as well. So just always be very careful about how you connect your wallet.
Paul mentioned he said about how you can name your accounts. So you could have your main account. You might even name one like Burner Wallet, like Burner 1 or Burner 2. And if you're doing something where you're not, and you might ask why would somebody connect to something that's suspicious, or just why would they connect to something without knowing a lot about it? And I think it's part of the ecosystem of the NFT space. Unfortunately, it's decentralized. Anything can happen. There's no rules. It's kind of the Wild West out there. But so that creates bad and also good situations. I mean, sometimes a drop will come out of nowhere and people, what they call FOMO into it, they'll realize whatever it is, this opportunity is only going to last 5 minutes, and I better go ahead and mint something, or I better go ahead and check this out. And so you don't always have the luxury like you have with spiritual beings, where this big organization with all these doxed people and proven devs and all that kind of stuff. So at least we would say you're very safe here. We have a giant worldwide team of doxed proven people, and you can talk to all of us and all that kind of thing. But sometimes there might be a non-drop out there, and somebody's and it might turn out to be somebody famous. You don't know. There's most of it's junk, of course, but every now and then something really interesting will happen where you don't have the time to research it. And so you might just want a burner wallet where you can just say, look, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mint this thing for $5 or whatever, or free, for example, whatever it is out there that everybody's doing. And you'll say, all right, I'll try it. So you throw it on this burner wallet, and the worst thing that can happen, if it's a complete scam, you only lose whatever was in that wallet. You're not going to completely devastate you. And like Paul said, you can have hardware wallets too. I've been doing NFTs for a long time, so anything that I have, there's a whole investment side to NFTs, and there's sort of a hope or an expectation that in addition to the community and everything else, all the other benefits, you hope that financially they will rise in value. There's a lot of people here strictly for the investment side of things, and so it's common. It happens all the time where an NFT that you buy for X becomes worth 10x later or 100x, or you never know. If you were lucky enough to buy into the Bored Ape franchise when it first came out, that would have cost you $200, and it produced hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in returns. So that's not something you really want to ever keep in my opinion, in like a MetaMask account. Not that there's anything wrong with MetaMask, but there's just even more secure ways. So as you go down your NFT journey, you'll learn that things like hard wallets, and so a lot of people keep their super valuable assets in vaults. So you might use your NFT, your MetaMask to purchase your initial asset, but after a while, you'll probably want to transfer a lot of things to secure vaults, and that's something you easily have the luxury of time to learn about and proceed as you feel comfortable with. So that's what I do.
Yeah. And I think thank you for that. And I think that if people are scammed, which happens and can happen, and it can look very legitimate, and it can be a copy of another website, and something happens, you do give your seed phrase, or you do connect your wallet to something. The best advice really is to never use that wallet again. Correct? Is that we just write that off and say we'll never use that wallet again.
Yes.
I think there's no recovery of that. Once it's been compromised, it's done.
You're done.
Yeah.
And another thing, since we're talking so much about NFTs as well, sometimes there's duplicates or copies out there. If you're on OpenSea and you all of a sudden see some new NFT that you didn't buy, I would say always assume it's a scam. Don't click on it. Don't do anything. In fact, there's even a way that you can hide. Unfortunately, because it's on a blockchain and it's part of your account, you can't necessarily get rid of it. But what you can do is hide it. So MetaMask has a feature where you can click the settings, I think, and you hit hide, and it will. Well, it won't show it to you anymore. And that way you don't have any risk of clicking on them. But again, never trust any of these NFTs that show up in your account that you don't recognize.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll say one more thing from our perspective about security. Solo does have a question in there about talking about the hidden folder. I don't know if either of you want to talk about that before we finish up, but I wanted to say that in addition to what Jim was saying, we will never announce as a team that we're doing a surprise quick drop, that we're doing something that seems like it is impromptu, that is something that we haven't already very well planned for, that it's not all across our socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, like whenever we are doing any type of mint, not only our main mint, but anything at all, it will be very, very well prepared. And so there will never be. So if you ever received a message that spiritual beings, we're doing a surprise quick drop, click in here and we're going to release so many, please never trust that, because that's not a practice that we will ever do at Spiritual Beings. We will always have a lot of information and a lot of time of preparation for people. It's not about a race to quickly FOMO in a moment. And that's often where scammers will use people's emotions to quickly act before they can think it through.
Yeah, and so the Paul had talked about the hidden folder. You'll see that on OpenSea, and that's where people will spam you with a lot of junk, And so whatever you see in there, don't sell it. Don't try to sell it. If there's an offer that comes in, it's best to just ignore that too. There's a common scam where you find an NFT lands in your hidden folder, and you see an offer on it for like half an ETH or something, and you're like, "Whoa, what harm could it be to accept that ETH?" Well, generally, the way the scam works is there won't be any wrapped ETH there won't be any ETH there for you to get, and instead you'll go to the collection. There'll be some links. They'll get you to go to a malicious website, and they'll get you to sign some transactions or whatever that you shouldn't be doing. So pretty much 100% of what's in your hidden folder, in terms of it, I shouldn't say 100% because everything in the hidden folder isn't necessarily a scam. Sometimes if you join, if you own NFTs on Ethereum, people will airdrop you Polygon NFTs as sort of bonuses. I know a number of drops that do that. Those show up by default in the hidden folder on OpenSea. So if you expect one that's coming, if you're a member of, I don't know if Spiritual Beings will do this, but quite a lot of other drops do it. You'll be in those communities and they'll say, hey, check your hidden folder because we just airdropped some cool artwork to you. So if you know something's coming from a group that you trust, then yeah, you can look in your hidden folder and say, oh, I like that one. You go ahead and click it, unhide it. Usually those are the Polygon ones, and it'll just start to show up in your normal wallet. But yeah, anything else is 100% of the rest of it is junk. Just ignore it, and you just have to live with it. I know you might hate that. I don't like it because I don't like messy stuff. And it's sort of mess because it's in your wallet, right? But you have to just let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we do have free airdrops and things that we're doing for our community, again, it will be very well informed, and you'll be expecting it and see it and understand that it is directly from us. Guys, we do have to wrap this up. I would love to, just as a finishing very quickly, just to mention Discord. Discord is a place where a lot of the community talking is happening and interacting. It is a place also where a lot of different scenarios can be faced with people. I think as a general rule of everything you've said about our wallets, we can apply to Discord. Never click on any links that we're not sure of what they are. Be really mindful about not just, if there's a website, go again and just enter it yourself manually rather than clicking a link to get onto it. What other main things should we talk about in terms of Discord very quickly?
Did you want to go, Paul?
Well, I mean, I think you covered the main part. It's that, Discord, unfortunately, is a little wild west too. So ignore anything that doesn't come from the official Spiritual Beings Discord. You're gonna get people trying to say that there's some special deal, like Jody was saying earlier. Don't click on those. Don't accept friend requests from those offers. Just ignore it. If it doesn't come from official channels, then do not interact with it.
Right. You're going to get, I mean, if you're in the Web3 space, and anybody who's watching this, you're in it. Welcome. You're probably going to be on the Discord for Spiritual Beings. And so people who aren't even on Spiritual Beings, some people will join up, unfortunately, just to gather names and try to DM you, direct message you. And, so any direct messages you get in Discord, if it's not expected, it's either spam at best or a scam at worst. So you got to really, either try to turn off messages if you can, or just try to ignore them. Just be super careful. Discord is a great place though, because it gives you the great place to interact with the community. And most communities will have an official links channel. There's sort of like some time-honored various channels that almost all NFT drops have. And one is the official links channel. So if you go to the official links channel, you can always be sure you're going to the right place, because after a while, an NFT drop team is going to have 5 or 8 or 10 links of important places that they want you to know about: their Discord, their Twitter communities, their website, whatever it is. So that's a great place to go to get the official link. And you meet great people on there, there's going to be some weirdness on Discord as well, because it's, although I'm sure most really good quality drops have moderators, they still have to moderate, which means there's going to be people there that have to be, kicked out kind of, but hopefully they'll be found soon enough. But there's that kind of energy in there. Most of it's really good. You got to just be prepared that some of it's kind of, you get some crazy content. You just got to understand that that's just the way it is there, and that kind of stuff gets moderated out over time, and you really wind up with a nice core community of people interacting with each other and talking about the issues relevant to that drop. In this case,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've got some really great vision and ideas of things that we'll be doing in our Discord that we're starting to roll out. And I agree, there's this love-hate relationship with Discord, but ours is going to be a beautiful place to be. Let me say that. very countercultural. So so look, guys, thank you so much for unpacking all of that and really setting it out in a way that's very easy to follow and understand. Please rewatch this session if you're catching it on the replay. Go through all of these steps and be well prepared, be safe, and enjoy this whole experience and process of becoming an NFT holder and trader, and all the fun and joy that goes in with that. So Jim, Paul, thank you so much, not only for today, but for all that you do for Spiritual Beings, all that you sow in. We love you. We're so appreciative of you both. And just thank you for making this something that is really very special. So thank you, everyone. Bye for now, and we will see you again soon.
Thanks, Jody.
Thanks, Jody.